I think that it's something that we have to embrace. We talk about mobility being an expectation of the constituents, and so as they computing platforms really have become people's phones for a lot of people. So in a government, I think we have to look forward to that model and be able to embrace it. But it's not without its challenges in terms of security, also the data that we make available through the mobile platform. We have to make sure that it's accurate, that it's reliable. So there are a number of things. One where I think agencies are being encouraged to develop or to have application development in mind in terms of apps. We have a few successful application deployments. Our transportation department, most notably, where they've hooked up the transportation information systems as well as cameras around the state and some of the different the different information systems there to make it available on an app for Android or for the iPod, the iPhone. So that's been pretty successful. We're also looking at some of the different agencies going to tablet platforms for some of the inspection, licensing, and regulation functions, so that it's trying to reduce that inefficiency of clipboard and paper and then take it back to the office or every week report in, so that when they're filling these things out, they're getting posted to the servers immediately. So formative in some ways, but I think we're seeing the folks who are truly innovative and want to be able to provide their services from their agency pushing forward in that, and then we're trying to encourage those things and hold them out as best practices. We've also we're redoing our mobile device policies in general around things such as what is incidental and personal use. The line gets blurred really between social media applications, people's role and identity. When they're on a mobile device, am I chatting with my friends or am I representing my governmental agency? And so trying to develop more compatible regulations around the use of those devices and how we can move forward. I mentioned the changes that we're making to our policies with respect to mobility, and what we've worked to do is bring in all the different agencies. Everybody has very different needs. Public safety officials, folks who are using their phone, in an investigative or a case management or a tablet. They have different expectations with respect to the sensitivity of the data, the privacy of the communications, those sorts of things, than some of the other agencies do. So what we've tried to do is establish a core foundation where we brought in the different stakeholders from the agencies and made sure that we could define the lowest kind of common denominator with respect to privacy, security, encryption, password policies that everyone could agree to, and that we could endorse as the state's central IT oversight function, to say this is a good starting block, and then encourage agencies then use that to develop their own individual policies around it, as opposed to, I think, taking lump everything in, take the highest possible security approach, and then have the winners and losers. So I think that's been an effective technique for us, at least, in terms of allowing folks the ability to have that leverage from the security perspective, but also enforcing the basics, password changes, making sure devices are encrypted, our ability to remotely wipe, the mobile device management effectively, if you will, and then if nothing else, just having to explain to people, yes, you have to change your password so often, and this is why, that sort of thing. The state has a transparency portal where we're posting budgetary, salary information, purchase order, contracting, that type of data. So over the last 2 years, we've worked to expand that considerably in terms of the granularity of the information that's available, making it available in electronic formats so that folks could take the data and analyze it. Expanded it to public education data, including the different school districts, which I think has been pretty important. And that's evolving constantly. We're looking at models of actually making, giving the ability for analytics, right? So that people who are interested in doing, more of the aggregate analysis of the budget data can have those tools at their fingertips. I think that's where we could see it headed. And then, open government in general, we've worked very hard. The governor pushed early on an initiative to start web streaming and increase the amount of open meetings that we're making accessible to the public in New Mexico. New Mexico is a very large state, very rural, and it's not always easy for a lot of the constituents to make it to Santa Fe, to make what can be a 5-hour drive to participate in some of these meetings or see what's going on. And so we're working to continually expand and make available basically the equipment, the infrastructure, and the training for folks so that when they have these open meetings, they can be webcast, but also archive those so that, for folks who, have to be at work while, these various commissions or legislative entities are meeting, that they can, if they're interested, they can go and watch it and they can see what their government's been up to. And that's been it's been very powerful. I think just what's a grassroots effort, we're starting out with just some interns and some cameras, has pushed some of the, executive and even some of the other branches of government to expand on what they're doing with their web streaming and that sort of thing. So it's been good. One of the things that we're working to establish is a better understanding quantitatively of some of the cost avoidances that we are leveraging by being an enterprise, state agency. So, we can say, well, because we're doing purchasing on behalf of the state for phone or for, mobile phone, email, and those sorts of things. And everybody, I think, believes it. There's not been a lot of rigor behind actually documenting those cost avoidances. And so that's one step. So we're working to modernize in some ways just some of the central accounting functions that we have. So a lot of our billing and management of expenditures to service, and then the chargeback model has been it's been done well, but and good models, but a lot of it is not automated in any fashion, or a lot of the receivables, payables have been paper-based. So we're really working to overhaul that and put some automation behind those things, not expecting that it'll be a turnkey, all of a sudden we can show the millions of dollars that we're saving, but so that we can actually quantitatively address it and say, where are the areas that are ripe for us to leverage some cost avoidance, and to be able to do those studies. So, things, mobility, mobile phones for us was a big one. We basically purchase on behalf of the state the plans for all the state employees, but negotiated pooled minutes, and so did an analysis of the minutes that people were using on every phone and found that we could actually reduce the number of pooled minutes on each phone by 100. Very small change for each individual phone, but resulted in quite a savings in terms of our monthly spend on those mobile phones. So things like that, where we can quantitatively determine how we have cost avoidance wins and then go after those.